Well, welcome to a fantastic little initiative by the AJRA. We're going to talk all things jumps racing, and I'm looking forward to it because we are here at the Bull, of course, for 3 days. It is that famous May Racing Carnival, which is so focused on the jumps racing, and we've got a lot of special guests to get through. Matty Hyland, of course, the CEO of the Jockeys Association. Matty, how are you, mate?
I'm well, thanks, Matty.
Mate, you're looking good. A day down in the Bull, you've done very, very well. I think you behaved yourself last night, which is fantastic. And what about Marlee Horobin? And I hope I've got that right, Marles.
But, not quite right, Horobin, but you'll be right.
Hey, listen, Marles, fantastic to see you down. I know you put a lot of work into the jumps racing, and it's just great to see it flourishing and going so well, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. No, we're really excited. It's really good to be here, so looking forward to a good chat.
Absolutely. And we've got Kate Ryan from the Warrnambool Racing Club, of course, committee person, and also wife of the great Simon Ryan. And no good yesterday with police camp, but got around safe, and bigger things to come, I reckon, in the future with police camp. Kate?
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing yesterday, Matty, but yeah, it's a whole season to go.
Absolutely, he's a ripper, Simon Ryan too. Can train a jumps racer, that is for sure. He's going sensationally well. Andrew Nicholl, the CEO of the Australian Trainers Association. Andrew, how are you going?
I'm good, thanks, Matt. I'm pacing myself. I'm one out, one back at the moment, and I'm just easing into the 3 days as we speak.
Gee whiz, I wish I had kind of paced myself, but it's all good fun, and that's what Warrnambool's about. It is unique in so many ways, and it's unique because of the jumps racing. And I might just kick it off with what a fantastic victory yesterday in the Marlee steeplechase by Flying Agent. Of course, Amy McDonald, the footage going around of the emotion and the passion. Marlee, from a jumps racing point of view, you don't get any better than yesterday. It was just amazing, wasn't it?
It was beautiful, and Amy's such a great trainer, and she's a really good person, and she's a committee member. So it was really rewarding to see her win yesterday. Loved it.
She just the care for the horse and the love for the horse, and I think that just really shines through with Amy. And it's full credit to herself, Lee Horner, of course, Daryl Horner, and what a celebration, Matty Hyland. You would have been pretty. I know you can't say too much because I think you copped the $1,000 fine too, did DH. But wasn't it great to see? He hadn't even ridden a winner at the Bull. He rode 2 yesterday and a feature, and it was just full credit to him. He put the hard yards in, and good on him.
Yeah, no, it's terrific for Daryl and unfortunate for Lee, of course, but they kept it in the family. And Daryl might have gone off a bit before acceptances with his with his salute, but as you alluded to, he hasn't had a winner at the carnival, so it's I'm sure he can pay it and sort it out.
I reckon he might have a few other people chip in and get that $1,000 fine out for him. But it was just a fantastic day's racing. And we unearthed a star. I reckon we've known that Flying Agent was a star, but I really believe one of the best, if not the best jumper going around at the moment. That's in my eyes anyway. I reckon just an absolute superstar. And the fields, can I just say, guys, how good are the fields? Honestly, like even the maiden hurdles yesterday, we had 5 or 6 emergencies. It was just quite amazing to see, wasn't it? Like the numbers are just flying at the moment.
They are. I reckon it's a real resurgence of trainers and obviously owners and the support for the jumps racing. It's fantastic to see. It's probably unfortunate for a lot of those runners that weren't able to secure a run, and you could easily run another division of that maiden hurdle. So that's probably a little frustrating for connections, but gee, how can you complain to see full fields and everyone get round safely?
Everyone get around safely, that is the key. And I just, like, Warrnambool trials 2 Fridays ago, I think there was 119 went around, which Marlee is just phenomenal. And I think there was 19 trials all up, and it's just really, really booming at the moment. And we were just talking off air, but 7 or 8 years ago, this industry was nearly on its knees.
Yeah, I think so. I think field sizes were. I talking to Andrew earlier, I think we're averaging 8 runners a field, which over the 68 races or whatever is scheduled over the year. So certainly from our point of view, it's with the new fresh blood coming in as jockeys coming into the system. We want those field sizes to be healthy because we need those, the middle and lower tier jockeys that are just starting out. We need them to get those opportunities. And when they sit at 8, you can quickly, given the fact that we've got 20 licensed jockeys in jumps riders, we need those field sizes to get up around the average around 9-10 runners per field, and that'll keep things progressing in a positive.
I must admit that was a concern at the start of the jump season. Talking to Shane Jackson and Johnny Allen, a few of the boys, was there going to be enough? Like jump jockeys getting around because like there's only going to be a couple that are out suspended, a couple of injuries, whatever it might be. But there's a couple of Kiwis have kind of made Australia home, and it's kind of pretty exciting, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's. It's good to see the new. We had a couple of those guys that retired through the year, which is, that's great, Cully and Jacko, and but we've got the new ones coming through. But again, they need to get the opportunities, and that's why we need those field sizes up so that those guys can get the rides under their belt, because there is a minimum standard that is required for those guys to maintain their licence.
Yep.
So that's really important.
And the training as well.
Just on that, I think it's a game of inches, isn't it? But I think the great part about what we're seeing with jumps racing at the moment is there's a real surge in the popularity from a lot of the leading trainers.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the other day we saw Robbie Griffiths have a runner. Henry Dwyer has been a staple in that area for 2 or 3 years now. I mean, along with Gay, Aaron Purcell, Kieran Maher, who cut his teeth as a jumps jockey, as we know. So
Simon Wild, Ryan, Paddy Ryan.
I mean, the list goes on, but we're talking about 143 licensed trainers in Australia that actually have a jumps ticket. And last year there were 56 individual trainers who made up the pool of horses that ran around in those races. So it's got the resurgence happening, as Matty said. It's got the eye of the trainers, the popularity. We're getting those top 10 trainers who are looking to invest in that area of training and add to the trainers that have been there for 100 years, like Eric Husgrove and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really good feel about jumps racing at the moment and the momentum that's behind it.
Yeah, spot on. And I think, Andrew, it's important to have blokes like Muzzy still training, isn't it? Johnny Wheeler brings a couple over here for May, like they kind of, they create that passion and they drag people through along for the journey, I suppose, and get people wanting to be involved. Do you reckon?
Well, you think of the halcyon days. I mean, Jim Houlihan. Let's mention a name that really sets it apart. I mean, what he invested in the sport, even back to the guys like Robbie Lang. He cut his teeth as a jumps trainer, and some of his legendary, with his horses. I mean, as you said, Rick Lacey in the early days, Kieran Maher. I mean, Johnny Wheeler. Well, who can forget John Wheeler? I mean, John Wheeler, before the rough habit, before the flat John Wheeler was the jumps king. So I think it's just those halcyon days when we remember those horses. We remember those trainers. I mean, you hope you have this little thing in the back of your head that says, "Well, we get back there." But it's just happening. It's happening. It's creeping up on all of us. Great to see a lot of these trainers, the fresh blood coming into the events and the sport itself. So, I think the picture is bright for jumps racing.
And we were just talking off air too, 63 races, 3.9 million in prize money. That's pretty good, isn't it? I know, Marlee, you're wanting to pump that prize money up just a little.
Give it a go, Marlee, come on.
And I reckon, Kate, you might be trying to pump the prize money up for the May races, just the rest of the card as well. So it's just a great industry, and I think because we've got that interest in it now, I think Racing Victoria are going to sit back and go, well, hang on, we need to keep investing in it and keep improving and making it better.
Yeah, and I think it's also working as a team, with all these guys here and working with Racing Victoria and showing them we're actually doing the hard yards and communicating those messages to the participants is really important as well. So, I suppose with Andrew and Matty, I've really enjoyed working with them because I bounce off them a lot over the last couple of years in terms of, how do we do this, or how do we get here, or what do I need to do to achieve this, all those kind of things. So I think the two things that we want to focus on is the jockey upskilling, and also, like Andrew said, with the trainers coming through, what can we do to keep them going? What facilities, what infrastructure, the field sizes, all these things, all these cogs we need to really focus on and put in, all of us to put in.
Just go into the jockey upskilling a little bit. What's entailed in that, guys?
Well, traditionally jumps jockeys used to be flat riders that obviously turned their hand to jumps riding and to create more opportunities. But now we're getting a lot of guys and some girls coming in from the UK or Ireland or New Zealand, and there was never really a pathway or an apprenticeship to be a jumps rider, So I think it was important that there is some kind of education process that they can go through, you know, that can upskill them, because like anything in any sport you play, you need coaching and you need mentoring and so that
the flat jockeys do it so well, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
The media training and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so boy, we can't forget about the jumps jockeys, can we?
No, that's right. And I think that the initiative of that Marlee and you know the AJRA put together, going down to Pateman's place, and Jess and Pateman and I can't remember the guy's name that came from.
Gavin Chester.
Yeah, Gavin Chester. They all spoke really, really highly of what he provided to them, you know, as far as upskilling and that sort of thing. I mean, it's different. Show jumping and equestrian is a different discipline to jumps riding and, you know, presenting at a fence at pace.
Yeah.
But the fundamentals of it, you can learn off anyone, you know, and I think that that's been a really good initiative, and I think that all of them got a lot out of it. Everyone that I spoke to said it was terrific, and even Pateman said, you know, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, he's our leading jumps rider, and he can't speak highly enough of that sort of initiative, you know.
Yeah.
So we had 19 jockeys, I think, attend this year, so that was
that's
really
awesome.
good. And Megan Dunsey, is that how you pronounce her name? Dunsey? Scottish girl.
I'll leave that to you, Marlee.
She's a young girl coming through, and she's almost finishing her jumps ticket as well. So hopefully we'll have a first female jockey. So that'll be
Is
good.
she based out of Ballarat?
Yeah, with Richard Cully.
Yeah. I actually met her a couple of weeks ago at Jacko and Cully's
Yeah.
going away party.
there
That was
you
a
go.
shindig and a half, I can assure you that. But she's a little ripper. Really loves it. Lovely personality, and wouldn't it be great to see some more females getting involved in the jumps racing fraternity as well? I think, you know, even the flat jockeys now, Matty, you know, the women's change rooms, they're chock-a-block. You know, on race day, it's just awesome.
That's right. It's a very level playing field, and it's great for it's great for racing. It would be terrific for jumps racing. The girl that won the national in the UK, how good's that? You know, so I think it's all feels really good, doesn't it? You know,
on earth it does.
Everything's going in a positive sort of way, and that's terrific.
And I suppose this upskilling, you know, it makes the industry more professional in a sense, doesn't it? You know, like you guys are investing into them, you're wanting to get the best out of them, wanting to give them the best opportunities, which is what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, Andrew, in regards to, I suppose, tracks, you know, like, because there's clubs, and I know Terang, I get down to Terang a fair bit, you know, they're chomping at the bit to get some more jumps races, you know, like, is that really building, you know, like, they're knocking the door down at the moment saying, listen, we want to get involved in this.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you raised, Matt, because, again, back in 2016, and I just would, pause for a minute and just give Racing Victoria a massive rap here, because back in 16, they sat down as a group themselves and they said, we've either got to go, we've got two ways we can go with jumps racing. We can either support it and really get behind it, or else it's we know what the alternative is. And I think at that time they sort of, they did a lot of aspects of the safety, looking at the races, where we run the races, the prize money reviews, the incentive, for your first maiden hurdle win, the $10,000 which the government provided. I mean, a lot of great things came out of that, and we're seeing that, the benefit of that now with so many people in the industry, so the popularity rising. But it's also been, it's been picked up by the race clubs themselves, and part of that is to provide a backdrop for the jumps community, so it's a lot easier for them. And things like Terang coming into the mix, Sale coming into the mix, Bendigo are in the mix for a little bit there, Pakenham are in the mix. I mean,
Hamilton's another one, they love their jumps racing.
It's just, it's brilliant. And I mean, even something like we're going to run a lot more trials and centralise a lot more trials at Cranbourne. They've got 3 grass tracks now, and
the numbers of the trials there have been phenomenal.
It has, but logistically, just to allow these trainers to get their horses from point A to point B, and a lot of them live over in the southern side and the east. So it's great for them to have a permanent facility where they know they can go. We can trial their horses. It just encourages people to get involved in the sport. Okay?
Definitely.
And so from that viewpoint, it's a really healthy dynamic between club, between Racing Victoria and between participant, and it's only growing, and that's what we're looking forward to. What other club is going to put their hand up?
Well, I've been kind of banging on to the racing.com trying to get them to get up to Caston, because, and I know logistically it's a little bit tough and stuff, but gee whiz, going over those natural hedges and, the atmosphere and the hill that's up at Caston, I just reckon it's magnificent.
Nothing like it, is there?
Nah,
really?
it's brilliant.
The natural landscape of jumping over the hedge, it brings back evokes the memories of the 70s and the 80s and the crisp going over the... I mean, it's just something to behold, isn't it? Oh, it's tremendous.
And Kate, I suppose from a Warrnambool Racing Club perspective, it is the home of jumps racing. I'm probably a little bit biased, you're biased, but we love the bull. How do you continue to grow as a club? How do you continue to get better and I suppose evolve?
Yeah, definitely, Matty. We certainly do say the home of jumps racing. We're very proud of that. And look, this week, May Race Carnival is obviously the biggest part of the year for us. And the Briley paddock, I mean, there's nothing like it. We talked about the live hedges as well. It's very similar for us. The club's done a fantastic job over the last couple of years of doing some more beautification around the course. You have this real sense of arrival now when you walk in, and to welcome crowds back and have all of that beautiful Briley paddock looking the way that it is and welcoming people and crowds back, and getting back up on the hill yesterday was just a real joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, to continue it, I think we have days like the Lafferty Thackeray Day. I won't get too tongue-tied on that one.
And so that's coming up in July, isn't it? This is a day that's continuing to build as well. It's virtually nearly a full day of jumping and high weight races.
Yeah, correct, Matty. It's getting stronger every year. Last year in a COVID environment, we had majority of jumps races for the day and a couple of high weights, and so that sort of showed us that there is a day that we can really promote just mostly jumps racing and staying races. And then we have the Jericho towards December as well, which again we get to use the Briley paddock, and it's just a beautiful race to watch. And we have the light horse in the mounting yard as it's going around it. A great affiliation. And
I guess on the back of the Jericho is that we use the high weights and the jumps jockeys, which has been a big thing from Bill Gibbons.
And fantastic.
I love the fact that he does that. I copped a fair bit of flack off the jumps boys when I was calling for Craig Williams and Ollie and the boys to come down. And it might happen one day. You boys can still ride it though, okay? They're not going to change the weights, all that kind of stuff. But it's just, look, it definitely adds to it. And the story last year, like Lukey Williams obviously winning with Count Zero.
Yeah, exactly.
And just the path that he took, and he walked the track, and he's a character, Lukey, we know that. But and that day, the Jericho Cup day, is really continuing to build, and it's just unbelievable, to be honest. I don't think anyone realised how big it was going to be. They love the history and the war, and full credit to Bill Gibbons. He's done a great job.
Look, it's been fantastic, and fantastic for the race club. It does. It brings people back to course again. Like I said, we get to see such a beautiful run up through the Briley paddock again, and it gives extra races for the jumps jockeys as well. To have that opportunity later on in the year.
And the focus on staying horses as well, I think, is really important for the jumps industry and for the racing industry in general. So, I don't know what Andrew's thoughts are about that, and the trainers, incorporating staying horses and finding staying horses.
Well, it's been an interesting subject, hasn't it? Because we're talking Melbourne Cup, and there's always been a bit of conjecture over the last few years, Andrew, that we don't seem to get a crack and be able to put our horses in the Melbourne Cup, and all the internationals are coming over and all that kind of stuff. So I suppose we have to provide these staying races to try and encourage breeders and encourage people to go that way and want to have those staying horses.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the focus in Australia has been on speed. It just has been, and prize money follows, and we even have the pinnacle race like the Everest, where they're running for $15 million, speed race, another one. We have our own speed races down here with the Newmarket, the Oakley, etc., etc. But I think a great thing about the Jericho is it's really inclusive, and again, I love what RV Racing Victoria have done in that space. And the Road to Jericho series, where it goes across Australia. They're running races in WA,
Albany,
Queensland, and New Zealand, and I mean it just adds a different dimension. But I love to see the distance horses. I mean, there's a distance race that is run pretty much at the metropolitan meetings every weekend, but we still need to invest a lot more money in that area and promote it a lot more. And I think things like the Jericho Cup, which has just got great history.
Yeah.
It's, when you're talking about Australian war history,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, what happens with the light horseman on the day?
Yeah, it's
if,
brilliant.
Fantastic.
if your
Two
heart's,
theme songs.
your heart's not pumping out of your chest and there's not a tear in the eye, then
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
not,
exactly.
not human. You
And
know
the
what I mean?
trophies, like
Yeah.
just...
Yeah, they're
love that.
beautiful. I
People
love
wanna-
them.
It does
wanna
give
wear
us
the
a
It's,
great...
it's theatre.
It is.
It's
It is.
great theatre.
It is.
Yeah.
What it is.
And it brings crowds to the races that typically may not,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
normal race goers, and so it opens that up as well.
Yeah.
Get more people interested into the sport, which is fantastic.
And owners, so encouraging owners to invest in jumps horses and staying horses. So
Yeah.
sometimes people go, it's too long ownership, you spend too much money and never get to the races. So I think the Jericho's a nice little ease into jumps
And
horses.
I was going to say, Will John run third in the Jericho last year and
Yeah.
comes out and wins a maiden hurdle.
Exactly.
So you don't get a better, better
Really
thing than
nice
that.
affiliation,
Yeah,
and it
absolutely.
certainly opens up our relationship with New Zealand as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
particularly around the Jericho and the staying horses that can come across from New Zealand.
And who can forget a Blaze?
Yeah.
Won the Jericho and then come back and won the Grand Annual, which is
Tremendous
just
horse.
phenomenal.
Great training effort by Eustace. I mean, that horse, and the story about, it gets bigger every year about flipping the coin, I'll pay double or I'll pay half. I'm not really sure what's true. I reckon Kieran gets asked that one every year, but it's a great story, and he's a great jumper, and the world is the oyster, isn't it? Really?
And I think, Andrew, your point before about the trainers and having some of the more high-profile trainers now involved in jumps racing, it also helps us with crowds and owners and that continued participation. To have some of those names around at May and then even at the Thackeray Day and Jericho, it really does assist in getting people involved.
I mean, I know you'd like to think yourself as the first lady of racing, but
That's Marlee. I'll give that to Marlee.
I'm thinking my time here is done. But the first lady of racing, Gay, where does she head?
Yeah.
She heads down here.
Yeah, exactly.
Most carnivals. I mean, it's got that kind of appeal to that kind of trainer living interstate who's been there, done that. I mean, that's what you're talking about with Warrnambool.
Absolutely.
And then I suppose I want to ask Kate too, from a participant's perspective, what's in for Warrnambool Racing Club in the future? Looking forward, because Warrnambool gets packed every year, doesn't it?
Yep.
And people can't book accommodation or maybe new people. How do we get new people involved, and what's the plan?
Yeah, it's a great question, Marlee. So I think, the one thing that we want to continue to build on is that Warrnambool is very unique in the fact that it's all about the racing. It is very much a crowd that is there for racing and to watch the jumps and watch the spectacle. So anything that we can do either side of May, I guess, to encourage and promote and educate people about whether it's jumps racing or the May Carnival, I think will continue to bring people to Warrnambool. We'll need to do a little bit more work, I think, from a tourism perspective about making sure that we've got enough beds for people when they come. Pre-COVID, we were looking at an average stay of about 4.1 nights in Warrnambool, which is great. It's amazing for the community here as well, to get that sort of crowd here. There's a real buzz, even on Monday night, sort of heading down to the AJRA, and everybody's pumped, and it was raining, but no one cared. Everyone was walking around, we're at May and we're ready to go, and so,
And I reckon the club too, Kate, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're talking about doing like a breakfast with the jumps racing and the jumps trials on a Sunday before the carnival, which I
that'd be
think
good.
would be another little event that'll really kick it up a little bit as well, for the purists.
Yes, exactly right. So we were hoping to try and get that up for next year, is to have, when the trial or the schooling through the paddock on the Sunday morning right before and have a bit of a breakfast there. And we've got such a beautiful Matilda room now and a deck to watch that if we can try and put some things either before the May or even on the Friday to extend that week out, would be fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Avenue of Honour, I reckon when you're walking into the course now, it is brilliant on the cobblestones and the blue stones. It just looks magnificent, and you see people walking out and they're reading the names and soaking it all in.
Well, you get to really see the tradition and the history of the club, from 1848. And there was a beautiful photo there that we saw. There's a historical display in the Woodford Lounge, and there's a photo of the old grandstand from the 1900s. And it's the exact same grandstand. It's still there, and it's been, really well restored and looks fantastic. But you just get that sense of history and how long it's been there. It's amazing.
Now, one of the really exciting things to come in this jumps racing season is the One Fit hurdles. I just reckon they're brilliant. They've got the display at the racing club over the next couple of days for people to go and feel and touch these. You guys must be just wrapped with how they've come up and and I suppose the effect they're having on races. It's absolutely amazing, Matty, isn't it?
It is. I think it's, from a safety point of view, I think they've been fantastic because I think that they stand upright, the horses can see them, and it's taken a little bit of the speed out of the races, which has made things a little bit safer, I think, for sure, you know, if they happen to hit one on the way through, they flatten over, so they're not actually, tripping the horses up or whatever. But I think the key to them is that horses get a really good look at them. Yeah. They stand up a little bit higher than what the old hurdles used to.
And it makes them respect them, doesn't it?
It does.
And that's what horses have got to do.
It does. I mean, the horse has got to see the jump. Yeah. And if it can see the jump, it'll jump the jump, you know? Yeah. And that's the key. But more importantly, even when you watch those races yesterday, you can see as the horse presents to the fence, he backs off a touch and measures the fence, and that's rider skill as well. Yeah. And I think the proof's in the pudding. You know, we've run some 50 trials, and I think there was 10 races prior to yesterday. So we run? 3 hurdle races yesterday, and we haven't had an incident. So
it's amazing.
I think it's just fantastic. I think what we would like to see is, the discussions with Racing Victoria about standing them back. Those ones that do get flattened, that get jumped twice in one race.
I didn't know. You were just talking about this before. This is where you want to get to that.
Yeah, I think in the UK they do it, and they stand it back up. And I think if they're going to jump them a second time round, they're very light and easy to manage. So if they can be stood back up, I think that'd be a better spectacle too. And I think that'd be better and safer for horses, rather than if you get a bunch of horses presenting at a fence at the one time. You know, say the last 2 fences, and they've jumped them previous, and you've got one flattened panel. Yeah. You know, most horses are going to sort of gravitate towards the fence that's already flattened. So I think that'd be an important thing, and it'd be a really good initiative to really seriously think about putting them back up.
So how is it health and safety? How do you get around that? What's the next stage there?
It's going to take some discussions with Racing Victoria and talk about that, you know, and they'll have their views, you know, personnel going onto the track and that sort of thing, because that's what's going to occur. Yeah. So there will be some issues to work through with that, but I certainly think it's achievable. You know, we don't jump all those fences twice. We probably jump at Warrnambool 3 hurdles twice. Yeah. And maybe at Pakenham maybe 1 or 2. You know. Yeah. So I don't think it's unachievable. Yeah.
And Sandy McGregor, brainchild there, he just loves, eats, sleeps, breathes, jumps racing. What a fantastic bloke to have in your corner, though. He just... I went up and had a cricket game up at Marlee, where his farm is, and he's virtually rebuilt that facility up there for that community, because he just cares about it, and he cares about the jumps racing fraternity, and for him to kind of put into his own, in his own pocket and get these out here, I think it's just fantastic. So full credit to Sandy. He's just such a great supporter of jumps, isn't he, Marlee?
Yeah, he's definitely, and he's really good to work for and work with, and he's a good man all round. So he's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, it's been a fantastic discussion. I think all in all, jumps racing is absolutely low flying. Full credit to all these guys that are obviously sitting on the panel that are involved in the industry in some way, shape or form. It's onwards and upwards. I can only see this industry just continuing to grow, which I think is really exciting. And, jumps racing is massive. And as we said there before, it was on its knees 7 or 8 years ago, and the industry had to kind of make some changes, and they did, and it's just great to see it going so well now. Marlee, congratulations to the AJRA. I know you guys do a power of work behind the scenes, and really as an organisation, really starting to get some great support and involvement.
Yeah, great. No, it's a good team, and they've been working hard for a very long time. I just think that now, I'm the glue, and we all work together and communicate it all, and it's all like you said. I think it's going to be a really good future.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matty, you do a wonderful job with the Jockeys, mate. I know you're very highly respected. They love you.
Sorry?
And, just pumping his tyres. Of course they do. No, I saw him in the meeting yesterday. They love him. You do a great job, and it's so important, the work that you guys do as well.
Thanks, Matty. Yeah, it's great, and it's really great to see jumps racing thriving and pumping along. So.
Absolutely it is, and of course, Andrew, mate, you do exactly the same with the trainers because they are the lifeblood of the industry, and they need the support, and they need people like yourself getting in there and batting for them, and that's what it's all about. And even to come over here and make the effort and do this today, I think is fantastic.
No, it's really important. I mean, jumps racing's been part of the fabric for 100 years, and we just got to make sure that it just, you know, we fixed it 4 or 5 years ago. It's in an upward trajectory. We've got a lot of new trainers coming in there. We've got younger trainers coming in there. Today, Rebecca Weymouth's got a run. I mean, we've got to foster the younger trainers, and we've got to mentor them, and we've got to give them, you know, a blueprint of what the future's going to look like. And I mean, that's where it's going. And congratulations to the AJRA. They're really doing it. Marlee's doing a great job. The committee are doing a great job. Warrnambool does a great job. I mean, it's a feel-good story for jumps racing at the moment through the training community as well. So, I mean, onward and upward.
Yeah, fantastic. Couldn't have said it better myself, mate. And Kate, you go and enjoy the rest of the week at the Bull, mate. The committee at the Warrnambool Racing Club, Chairman Nicholl, he's a great supporter of jumps racing. Of course, you've got your partner Simon, mate. Hopefully you can get a winner before other weeks out and enjoy the festivities.
Have you heard of the Australian Jumps Racing Association? A not-for-profit organisation who supports jumps racing, its trainers, jockeys, ground staff and participants. Our community account for more than a quarter of the Victoria and South Australian racing industry, providing thousands of jobs across 2 states. 80% of our trainers have grown up around horses, live and operate in regional areas. Improvements in safety include implementing cutting-edge technology on track, with the new one-fit hurdles improving safety of both horse and rider. Retired jumps horses are desirable for life after racing, due to their age, education, experience and temperament. Be a part of the newly implemented Country Racing Victoria and AJRA Ground Staff Awards. Become a member and be a part of a new chapter in jumps racing. Hashtag staying for the future. Post your jumps racing experience at hashtag the Bull and tag hashtag how good is jumps racing to be featured. Visit www.australianjumpsracing.com to find out more.